How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this week's Q&A. So like any other week, if you want a chance to one of your questions being featured, make sure you do drop a comment down below with your question, and I'll either answer it next week's video or make a dedicated video or answer your question right in your comment itself. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the first question of the week. And it is, why is the maintenance minder coming on so early for rear differential services? I think this question was on a 23 or 24 Pilot specifically, but a lot of times you are going to see the maintenance minder come on for it around 10K, maybe right before, maybe right after. But so the issue is, or the reason for that is because the rear differential is made of clutches, and the initial break-in period could have a lot of clutch material floating around. So that initial phase is for that to get all that removed and get it with some fresh fluid. After that initial break-in period, it should be fine after that. And in most cases, around 30,000 miles would probably be the recommended interval. Now, if you are off-roading or you're driving a car hard or whatnot, you might want to consider changing your rear differential fluid at 15,000 miles. The maintenance minder may or may not tell you, and a subcode for that is 6. So if you see 6 come up on your maintenance minder, then that is telling you that it is time to change your differential fluid. And this is probably one of the times I actually agree with the maintenance minder provided in Honda and Acura vehicles. A lot of times I don't like how long it takes for everything to actually be recommended to get changed. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, so this next question is, what are my thoughts on the Honda and Acura V6 rod bearing recall? So obviously this is a pretty big deal. I'm not going to get into depth because honestly, I still have yet to do one. And the bulletin is like 90 something pages long, I believe. So I have not read through the whole bulletin. Honestly, once there's a vehicle presented in front of me, I will file the bulletin and kind of see how it goes from there. There's a lot of different scenarios that may or may not happen depending on our findings. So personally, I think Honda should have done maybe a warranty extension, maybe like 15 years, a limited mileage or something like that. Honestly, anytime you go inside of an engine, you take out some bearings or anything like that, there's just a lot of room for disaster, in my personal opinion. Now, obviously, it's supposed to be higher end techs that are doing these jobs, but dealerships are going to get absolutely bombarded with these recalls. So eventually the lower end guys are just going to have to do them, probably with the assistance of a higher end tech, just shadowing him, or whatnot the case may be. But that's just what's going to happen, unfortunately. Now, anytime, again, there's a mechanical engine rebuilding going on or replacements, there's just a lot of room for error. Any little debris that gets on these bearings may cause some catastrophic issues. Anything that gets maybe the wrong cap and a wrong rod or whatnot, or just some under torquing, over torquing. I just think a better approach personally would have been leave everything as is. Most Hondas seem to be okay. It seems to be mostly catastrophic on the Acura side. So, if there's a very specific VIN range that you think may have an issue, or customers already complaining with some sort of a knocking sound, then obviously you prioritize and you get ahead of the bulb that way. Now, if there's nothing wrong with the vehicle, again, I would personally let it be, but obviously Honda has their reasonings and they have to abide by some laws and stuff, and they have their own rules to follow. So, this may be the approach that they're kind of forced into. But again, I think there's going to be a lot of room for error. I think there's going to be a lot of self-inflicted human or mechanical, error at that point caused by humans. So, we'll see kind of how this unfolds, and hopefully doesn't have to be revisions and more extensions and stuff like that down the road. But, still fairly new, and I personally haven't done one. So, I will make a dedicated video on that subject exactly, but I did want to touch on it since a couple people have asked me about it. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, so this next question is Honda versus Toyota reliability. Obviously, I work for a Honda, and we know what, the recent news and all these recalls have come along with Honda. Not that Toyota hasn't had any recalls, although it kind of seems to be really catching up with Honda and just taking a toll on their, reputation. So obviously a lot of recalls are not a good thing, although one could argue that Honda's trying to do the right thing here instead of something catastrophic potentially happening, kind of like with the, rod bearing situation, main bearings, whatever you want to call it, situation. So, Yeah. Obviously, Honda chose to go the turbocharged small displacement engine route for their mainstream cars, which come with additional maintenance. And when you tend to, lack on the maintenance, as a lot of customers do, or just not be as aggressive as they may need to be, then it's going to cause a plethora of issues. Now, Toyota has basically done the opposite, and they're mostly non-turbo cars. Now they're obviously starting to add some applications here and there, but nothing like Honda. Basically everything in Honda is either hybrid or turbo at this point, with the exception of maybe the HRV and the V6s and stuff. But we see the V6s on the Acura side get the turbochargers as well, so we'll see how those fare, long term. But I think main reliability issues at this point, the main concern would be obviously turbocharged engines versus naturally aspirated engines. That's a big deal. Obviously, there's a lot of issues going on with just making a reliable product on the Hondas, and Toyota seems to be faring a lot better for the recall situation as we stand today. Now, who knows what the future brings? Hopefully Honda does, turn it around, and I have confidence that they will. But again, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes here, just really what's presented to us in front of us. And we could only talk about what's going on today. So at this point, I would definitely say Toyota has the upper hand on the reliability aspect. Not that Hondas can't be reliable, but anything turbocharged, again, going back to that topic, kind of needs more maintenance. And I think a lot of Honda and Toyota owners have been accustomed to do minimum maintenance and it'll run forever mentality. And this whole leasing program only adds to the whole lack of maintenance. Even if they have free maintenance, people just don't want to be bothered sometimes. Don't even want to go do the oil changes or the rotates or, whatever is the case may be at that point. So you can only do so much. There's always going to be stuff that happens. But I would definitely say Toyota at this point, unfortunately, does have the upper hand as far as reliability and overall quality goes. So hopefully that answers the question for you. So this next question is, theoretically speaking, if you have a car with, let's say 6 seconds tread depth and you replace one tire because of a blowout or whatnot, and now you have a 9 or 10 30 seconds tread depth, will it damage the all dry system? And no, it won't. Obviously, there's differentials in the front and back that will account for a wheel or two being at different speeds. Wheels are never exactly turning at the same speed. When turning specifically, the outside wheels always have to travel further than the inside wheels. So if that was the case, obviously there would be a lot more issues, but thanks to differentials, that makes it all possible. So obviously you want to try to have the tires as close as possible, but there's people out there that don't even come in for rotates, and 10,000 miles later, the front tires are like at 5 30 seconds and the back are like 9 or 10 30 seconds, for example. So again, you're going to want to try to match the treads as best as possible, the tread height as best as possible. Although, if that's not possible, then it is what it is. You'll be okay and you won't be causing any damage. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, so last but not least, question of the week. What is the main reasoning behind long-term intervals for the maintenance? Now, obviously, there's been a lot of technology advancements, although I think, in my opinion, that the main reason is marketing. So obviously, if a vehicle manufacturer could market that your car is only going to need 1 or 2 oil changes, and the average person throughout the year, then obviously that is a big upside versus needing 3 or 4 or 5 oil changes. That could add up very easily. Now, most people, especially if you're watching this channel, you're probably going to be on a more cautious side and a more aggressive side. So you may or may not take that into consideration. But I think personally that is probably the main reason. And people that are really looking for the best overall budget are obviously going to consider the price of the vehicle, the insurance that comes attached to it, the miles per gallon obviously is a big hot topic nowadays. And then last but not least, what is the maintenance going to cost you? General maintenance over the life of the vehicle or over the year. So obviously anything you could cut out from spending more than you need to is going to be an upside, and something that these manufacturers are going to keep in their pocket as a bargaining type of tool, or just to give them some sort of leverage. So personally, I think that's probably the main reason, the marketing aspect of it. And the cheaper you could get a vehicle for and maintain it and whatnot, the better it is for the customer at the end of the day. So with that being said, I'll catch everyone on the next one.